Hello and welcome to the first episode of Campfire Chronicles. This is your host, Hatham, and today we have a story about the shadowy figure on the beach. This is an account of a story experienced by my parents. I have adapted my mother's words as best as I could to share this story with you. It is worth noting that my father is extremely reluctant to talk about this event. He visibly feels uncomfortable recalling it. So, I will leave you with my mother's words. Approximately 20 years ago, my ex-husband and I had the opportunity to see a creature that was not of this world. This happened during a trip when we were staying at the beach of a hotel with a camping area. The event itself occurred on the beach, early in the evening of a full moon day. Despite the dim light, it was possible to see the silhouettes of people nearby, sitting on the beach sand just like us. Until that moment, we didn't know what it was. And I understand that it is hard to believe in the existence of something like that. My ex-husband and I were very surprised as this creature floated in front of us after stopping in a strange manner a few meters away. On the beach stand, where there were other people talking and enjoying the early evening, it approached with a strange gait, stopped robotically, and we stopped talking to observe it. It was quite tall and was dressed in a black overcoat that partially covered its face, which was very unusual considering we were in a tropical place. It came so close that I was expecting some communication, a greeting, maybe a good evening. But, as if it had heard my thoughts, it looked us over its shoulder in a sinister manner, and then turned its gaze back to the sea. But I didn't feel fear, just curiosity. A few minutes later, it slid over the sea, and what caught our attention is that we couldn't see its feet. It floated at a significant speed. I didn't divert my gaze to the region of its feet because I could only see the hem of the overcoat over the edge of the sea. When this creature disappeared into the darkness of the beach, since there were no other lodgings beyond that point, my ex-husband ran after it. He didn't accept what he saw because he was an atheist and agnostic. I yelled for him to come back, and he returned without accepting what he had witnessed. And I just looked at the other people who were there to see if they also showed astonishment. From their naturalness, I realized the merit of seeing that creature was only ours. Some things I should address before telling my horrific story is that 1. Always drill the stranger danger mindset into your kids. Because if my parents didn't educate me about stranger danger, I might have never been around to tell this story. So without further ado, let me tell you about the story that changed my life forever. One day in July, my parents had went to the supermarket, and I guess also went to the laundromat as well. They trust me enough to leave me home alone, which they have been doing ever since I was 8. I'm 12 currently. After they pull out from the driveway, I lock the front door and unpause my movie that I was watching. I would say a couple of minutes later, I get hungry and go upstairs where the kitchen is to grab me a snack. In the process of doing so, I hear a loud knock from the front door. I think to myself that my parents have a key and wouldn't need to knock, therefore this wasn't them at the front door. I grab a large butcher knife that my mom always used to cut her pork, and as quietly as possible, went downstairs to put the chain on the front door. I guess the person must have heard me at this point and said in an aggressive tone to open the fucking door or else it will blow my brains out. I'm scared by this statement as I'm just that skinny 12-year-old girl who can only cause 5% damage unarmed without making noise. I bolted upstairs where my phone was and immediately dialed 911 in case this guy really had a gun. In doing so, he starts, I guess, kicking the door and banging on it. I'm trembling with the butcher knife still gripped somewhat tightly in my hands. The 911 operator was probably saying something, but I was in my own world of fear to listen out to her. Alas, I hear a loud noise, which I suppose was a gunshot, and multiple gunshots after that. I'm crying and telling the guy to fuck off. I felt as if I was losing my mind, that I was gonna die without ever seeing my parents again. The rest is a blur. As I had passed out, and my parents say when they came back, the house was swarmed with police, and that I was in an ambulance because apparently when I passed out, I bumped my head onto something, and the bruise is still there, just not as visible. I'm sorry this was long, but it changed my life forever, and I'm even more paranoid than ever. I had just got home from the store when I noticed my door was unlocked. Weird, I thought. I had never forgot to lock my door before. I ignored it. That was my biggest mistake. I walked into my house and noticed the carpet next to my door crumpled. It also had muddy footprints on it. This is when I started to panic. Stupidly, I started to check the house just to find more muddy footprints and blood. A trail of it even. I was frozen in fear, but I quickly snapped out of it when I heard footsteps coming down from the stairs. I quickly hid in the cabinet and started dialing the police. I was shaking so much and was on the brink of crying. Nevertheless, I explained my situation to the officer, stating that situation and my address first. If I didn't do that, I don't think I would be able to tell the story. Just as I was talking with the officer, the cabinet door flew open. God, I screamed so loud I went deaf for a second. The person who opened the door, a hairy old homeless man with a large bloody cut on his face, looked startled as I screamed my lungs out. He quickly ran out before I could see him. I don't really know what happened next. All I remember is that the police came and watched my house all night. What truly scares me is that they never found the man. His bloody face still haunts me till this day. Well, that wraps it up for today. If you liked my content, please like and subscribe, and I will see you all later.